Welcome to the free audio rendering of Not Without Scars 2. Such an insightful and impactful work must be accessible to the countless number of people living similar life experiences. Becoming a best-selling author pales in comparison to creating a tool capable of instilling hope in a multitude of people trapped in the valley of decision. My greatest profit comes in helping others emerge victorious over their life struggles. My goal is to encourage individuals to follow their dream. My message: you must never quit on your faith, pursuing your aspiration or vision. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take a moment, invite your family, friends and acquaintances, and enemies to listen to this work chapter by chapter. It is free to listen as well as free to subscribe. Peace, love, and phenomenal blessing.
How do I write my life story? I know hurt and pain. I don't like either one, whether physical or emotional. Herein contains my story, Not Without Scars, Part 2. Optimism, perseverance, persistence, resilience. 2 decades of personal struggle. Optimism. I faced the new millennium with hopefulness. Perseverance. My ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve never allow me to turn away from a difficult task. Persistence. Opposition should be anticipated as an effective strategy to victory surfaces. Resilience. Difficulties do not automatically spell termination. Scars reveal my imperfection as reminders of past episodes of pain, sorrow, or triumph. Scars can tell beautiful story endings or relay misery that wishes to remain anonymous. This work is meant to help others who have experienced decades of struggle. When struggles appear to never end, you must get through the night and face the challenge of a new dawn with fresh hope.
Section 2, 2003 through 2005, Perseverance. Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? What's going on, Marvin Gaye? Perseverance. Persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Never allowing obstacles to stop me did not mean that I did not see them. It also serves to be truthful to myself that I have courage and determination, even after my mistakes or choices made by others that I invited, accepted, or refused to eject from my orbit. I am persistent, but not to be confused with a stalker. My ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve will never allow me to turn away from a difficult task or assignment. My hope springs eternal to achieve success in spite of the odds. Chapter 6, the movie potential. Introduction. Book, play, and movie. The third segment was in the wings. I simply had to pull the pieces together and make the presentation to the interested people. I had frequently received calls from various individuals who commended me on any one of the successful projects I was associated with throughout the community. Their sentiments were unsolicited and well-intended. I received them graciously and humbly. Not Without Scars, the book had been around for 3 years, and the play had run on 2 occasions at Cuyahoga Community College Eastern Campus Theater for 2 years. The time to make the giant leap to the big screen appeared in reach. In search for financial backing from an investor in Columbus, Ohio, I came away with a director, Lisa, his daughter, and a screenplay writer, I did not obtain the funding, but I did secure the other key components to move the work onto the big screen. I was now in a better position to pursue financiers. I had a director and a partner and a screenplay writer. I made the trip to New York City to sign a contract as well as place the initial travel and research monies in an escrow account. Lisa and I made a trip to North Carolina where she did background interviews with my family members. We also rode through the rural area where I grew up. Lisa wanted to capture a feel of the physical layout of my early years in apartheid America. Upon my return to Cleveland, I met with Carol Hoover, prominent executive and financier. She was also the trustee member who interviewed me during the hiring process to become assistant to the pastor at Olivet Institutional Baptist Church. Our meeting had some history. Ms. Hoover was also one of the individuals who had called to congratulate me on my multiple successes throughout the community. I was one of her mother's favorite preachers. My past was known to her long before the book arrived in print. Requesting a meeting with her did not fall upon deaf ears. Her executive assistant contacted me with a date on her schedule. I informed Carol of the current status of the movie project. Everything was in place except the budget, which was deemed to be between 1.5 and $3 million. Aside from return on investment ROI detail, she would be the executive producer. She admitted to never having previously financed a movie. The idea was appealing. She trusted my judgment, and we were set to move forward. Things could not have been at a greater place for me. The movie's potential was in motion. Historical. You will face many defeats in life, but never let someone, but never let yourself be defeated. Maya Angelou. Looking beyond the visible. As a young man learning the ropes in the Bronx, New York, I lived with my older brother Dave. I primarily drove his car. My primary function was to run errands for him and his friends. My brother was 12 years older than me, while most of his friends were at least 12 years older than him. My associates had been all these old guys. Their lies and enhancements of the truth had become the textbooks that became my curriculum of how life was to be lived if you wanted to make it big in New York. My major was separating facts from fiction. My minor was eliminating enhanced distortion from outright lies. I had become the swimming pool of entertainment for men who had missed out on the things that they never saw dancing through, that they now saw dancing through my head. The sparkle in my eyes gave one of them the inside track to pour deception into an open head of unlimited imagination. I listened intently, but I was painting a different mosaic than what they were espousing. They poured out their stories, but they paid me considerably more than their errands were worth. A private lesson, one that took me with them to show off more important that they were than one of their peers really cost them. It was I who was getting paid to listen to them exaggerate what had never occurred. In essence, I had a unique counseling arrangement with men who professed to be my tutors. I made a lot of missteps along the way before I became known as the Bronx Star, gambler elite, and a no nonsense hustler. I suppose I had crept into the folklore of these same old guys as they spewed their tales into the open head of the next youngster who fell into their web of deception. The climb for me out of the pits of the streets took me through a number of city lockups, county jail, state prison, and the federal prison system. My soul looks back and wonders how I made it through. Respect in the street was gained through ruthlessness. That came fairly rapidly. The trek to respectability was much longer and, in some instances, much more treacherous. How so? I trusted the people on the straight and narrow to be who they said they were. I had to return to the early education discernment from my youth in the Bronx. I had to separate straight and narrow from the crooked and broad interpretation of what was being said. Once again, I had to look beyond the visible. Even though certain moments during an occurrence would cause me a temporary defeat, I would never become a defeated individual. Social, Black experience. We all have dreams. In order to make dreams come into reality, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort. Jesse Owens. Laying the groundwork for change. On my way home from my office at New Opportunity Development and Management Corporation, Inc., I stopped by a music store. Inside, I found the specific CD that had embraced my state of mind. I heard from the cashier to my S500 Mercedes and inserted the CD with Etta James singing "At Last." Turning onto the street to my gated community, Signature 2 in Solon, Ohio, I turned the volume up a few notches as Etta James floated the lyrics of "At Last" into the vehicle. From walking alone over plowed fields in North Carolina to driving a Mercedes through the streets of a bedroom community in Ohio was truly a dream coming into reality. Determination was never in short supply with me. The standard of measurement that I consistently employed equated to the firmness of purpose. Resoluteness announced my presence. To all who knew me, the understanding of my wavering character would never come into question. My actions were like concrete. What some viewed as an out of control individual, I saw as the process of establishing something exactly by calculation. I never stopped reading, therefore I never stopped doing research. I learned multiple ways to read, inclusive of reading people without a textbook. Dedication emerged as an unwritten guidebook, commitment to a task or assignment I took very seriously. If I undertook a duty, the only purpose in my mind was to finish the job. This I learned requires self-discipline and effort. I later learned to not take on a task or assignment that I could not put forth all the requirements essential to completing the undertaking. I became more selective in choosing to accept the opportunities set before me. My lifelong accumulation of knowledge through a myriad of experiences were all geared to assist me in laying the groundwork for change in my life first, and wherever I saw a need for betterment to replace the existing status quo. Theological. But I say wisdom is better than might, though the poor man's wisdom is despised and his words are not heeded. Ecclesiastes 9:16, Amplified Bible Classic Edition. Ministry in the trenches. A driven man would be an understatement in reference to me. The lack of my money from youth drove me to leave home at 16 with no formal education, no vocational skill, and all my possessions in two brown shopping bags with broken handles. New York bound. The purpose of gaining lots of money reigned in my soul. I knew rich men had power, and people listened when they spoke. It may have been idiotic or asinine, but their wealth afforded them a platform, and their voices were heard. In order to do ministry in the trenches of life, I recognized early that the people's needs had to be met. They also had to be addressed with more than rhetorical promises. I sought ways to accomplish meeting the people with tangible necessities. Sometimes I took from my own meager resources to satisfy a need before reaching out to other resource channels. King Solomon's words have echoed in my spirit through my life in a reflective manner when I was not conscious of their existence. A poor man's wisdom is despised. Therefore, inherently, I knew that I needed money to be taken seriously and have people listen to my pronouncement. Many programs and projects that I have conceived over the years have faltered or failed to be implemented due to lack of funding, resources, or access to what was needed to launch or sustain a venture. Wisdom has kept me in pursuit of my aspirations, dreams, and goals when my might has been absent. Wisdom has taught me to keep creating, planning, and strategizing. A new dawn will produce a fresh start. Success could be in the next moment or reveal itself in the next breath.